People are really interested in getting their summer bodies intact here. I see a lot of young people, in fact young and old people, getting down to the aerobic session that is currently underway here. And simply where people are moving their feet and having a good time just exercising. With me now is a man that is a friend of the show, jazz musician who is a world traveler, world performer now. His name is Nduduzo Makhathini. And you'll remember, Simpiwe, in my opening link earlier on, I shared with you how we arrived here last night. And even before checking into our hotel, we came straight here because there was a jazz festival of sorts that was happening. We saw the likes of Gloria Bosman on stage, Mbuso Khoza, Thandi Ntuli, and even local musicians that were giving us a taste of where the country's jazz music is at. But for now, I'll just chat to, or bring rather Nduduzo into this conversation. Nduduzo, it's always great to have you on our show. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm excited to be here always, so thank you.
Let's talk about your performance last night and what it is that you had in store for people of the Drakensberg.
Well, I mean, I think the space offers so much here. Just driving in here, the mountains and everything, there's kind of that feeling that whatever you do in this space will stay here. Somehow the mountains surrounding will sort of keep that memory alive. So that was really my thing, and it felt really great playing for the people here. And I'm excited about this initiative as well.
And having shared the stage with not only people that you're used to sharing the stage with, the likes of Mbuso Khoza, but other artists as well, especially young up-and-coming musicians who look up to you. What did that mean to you?
Well, it's always special, man. I kind of feel like, the people that the generation before me was very kind, and so I have that responsibility of like sharing whatever bits that I learned, things that I remember, and kind of immortalize those. So it's always that process of like, what is it that I can share? What is it that can live even longer?
And your reflections on the talent that you saw, especially talent in this community.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some really great musicians. I can't remember names, but I mean, for me, it's always inspiring. I always know that this side of the world has a lot of talent. So I wonder sometimes as well that if one festival is enough, so maybe we need other ways of engaging communities here, like to think about like what sort of developmental programs that could be paired with the festival. So I think in the future maybe it'll be great to come and stay for 2 weeks and hang out with young musicians here before we get to play,
Earlier on you spoke about the beautiful mountains of Ukhahlamba. Reflect on us about the space, and do you have any personal or professional attachments to it?
Well, nothing except that, like, sort of through an African cosmology, we know that some of the greatest gods live here. They live in these mountains. So for me, it feels very safe, and it makes a lot of sense to make this music around these mountains, So it's a special thing always. I wish I could just stay for even longer. Yeah.
Speaking of staying even longer, you're one person that hardly ever stays in their country, let alone their province. What have you been up to? I know that there's a single out. Tell us about that.
So yeah, I've recently just signed with Blue Notes, which is quite an exciting thing for me, and released a single called Yehlisano Moya. So I've been traveling quite a lot, performing in Europe, in the US, and sort of, sharing this very special gift. It's from the album called The Letters from the Underworld, which I use as a metaphor for these messages, these historic sort of silences that we vocalize and sound out through the music. So I've been like sending these letters out, like a postman.
You've been involved quite extensively in projects of young musicians that look up to you. In fact, in many ways, I believe that you've become somewhat of a master to them, just like what your masters, were to you. Tell us about the projects that you've been involved in. I know Linda Skakane's project, you've been a big part of that. Tell us more.
So quite recently, I've been involved in Umgidi with Ndabo. and it was such a beautiful project to work on. But partly it was for his masters that in a way I was like sort of like co-supervising here in South Africa. He was studying in Norway, and that really panned out really well. Tomorrow I've got something very exciting that I'm doing with Linda, so I don't know if it's the right time to talk about it, but you know, I love him so much and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to what we're gonna do, and he's got something special for this country, the world and beyond.
Duduzo, thank you once again for your time, and thank you for the music.
Bonga mina.
Duduzo Makhathini speaking to us about, of course, his performance last night, the kind of talent that he spotted here in these parts, and of course, wondering what more could be done to give young artists and upcoming artists more exposure and more platforms on which they can showcase the kind of works that they do have. Of course, lots of traveling for him, a brand new single, and lots and lots of involvement in other people's, specifically young people's projects as well. Duduzo Makhathini, South African jazz musician. We're going to leave it here for now. We're going to take a quick break. Do stay with us. Thank you so much.